But Rob, let's kind of recap in this Western Conference final that ended last night. Again, 4-1. The Dallas Mavericks take out the Minnesota Timberwolves, who a lot of people, including myself, thought were going to beat Dallas in that series. You correctly picked the Mavericks.
Yeah, I wasn't with the T-Wolves. I just wasn't. I mean, it was impressive what they were able to do, Chris, in beating Denver and winning a Game 7, coming back from 20 points. And I get it. That's where a lot of people were like, wow, this team, okay. They looked dead for 3 straight games. They lost 3 straight games. Looked like they were dead, and they came back from the dead and won. But I just like Dallas better.
Yeah, they also were the top defensive team in the league, even though they didn't look like it last night. I knew this. I just was willing to overlook it. But the history of, what Anthony Edwards was trying to do had never been done in the history of the league. Larry Bird, Bill Russell, 24 years old when they led teams to championships. Tim Duncan, 23. LeBron, 28, I think, when he won his first ring. Jordan, 27, 28, whatever it was. It just has never happened that anybody that young has been the best player on a team that won an NBA championship. I thought with Towns and Gobert and the rest of their supporting cast that, yeah, while he's the best player, they had enough good players around him that they could get it done. But they didn't. And over the course of the series, we saw pretty much why no one that young has led a team to a championship. You can see he's still learning. He's still figuring it out, when to be aggressive, when to get the teammates involved, when to try to take over. Even when not to talk trash. Right. He kind of said, he wasn't really trash talking, but he's like, I got Kyrie. And Kyrie went out there and showed him what time it was.
Yeah, you got me. All right, come on. Come on, young pup.
Right. And I also think, Rob, he was, just looking at him, he said it, number one. But you didn't need him to say it to think it, because he looked physically exhausted early in the series. He looked fine in the last few games, but I think what that was just emotional fatigue. He never played this many games, and especially this many games when so many of them you're playing at such a high level emotionally and the intensity is off the charts. And I think he was worn down. And so ultimately, Rob, I think this will be good for him. I'm not guaranteeing he's going to win the championship. I think he's good enough, but there are some great players in the league. Obviously, Luka, Jokic, Giannis, Wemby's on the way. I think he will win the championship. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I do think he'll be better for this, and this will help him kind of on that road to winning a championship. What are your thoughts on Anthony Edwards after this series?
Yeah, I'm not ready to bury the kid either. He's 22. It was an incredible run. People had questions. You even did. You didn't think so all year.
It was more just about the youth of the team.
No, I know, and that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Not just him, but you didn't think that they were younger. We haven't heard from Mark from Sacramento, since they got knocked out, but he was a guy who was...
We sure haven't.
High on them, Chris. I'm just right. He was high on them, Ant-Man, and you don't know what I'm watching him every night, and all that. Which is fine.
Last time he called in, I told he was basically talking about we don't watch the games.
Right.
So I said, don't tell us we don't watch games. You have no idea what we do, and I don't know that we've heard from him since.
But and that's fine, and nobody's like disrespecting him or thinking, Chris, that he doesn't have a shot.
He was disrespecting us. Oh, you talking about?
No, I'm talking about Ant-Man. That there's an idea that Mr. Edwards won't get to where he wants to go or win a championship or anything like that. But I think it's a humbling experience, I'm sure, when they felt like after they knocked off the champs and they had the 2 home games and they thought, my God. And then before you know it, Chris, you look up and you're down 0-3. And it's like, wow, what happened, Lucy?
But I think there was an emotional letdown after that. You know,
Well,
like it was almost like they felt like they won their championship. They took out the team that everybody thought was going to win it all. You know, and they probably were, Rob, a little overconfident in games, especially game one, maybe game two, but especially game one. And that obviously came back to bite them.
Yeah, it came back to bite them big time. And it's a learning experience. That's what you have to do. But there's no guarantee either, Chris.
No?
That they're going to make it back and, okay, next year. We hear that all the time about our team. Oh, yeah, we'll just regroup and we'll be there next year. Really? Really? Like, it's not automatic.
OKC's going to be better. New Orleans should be better. Sacramento still be good.
There's a lot of teams.
Obviously,
there's a lot of
Denver
landmines
and
everywhere,
Dallas.
Chris,
Yep.
out west.
Yep, no question. So they better get better. But I believe Ant-Man will. He's got a new commercial out, Rob, that was interesting. He's talking about taking receipts. We got it. We can play it as for his Adidas. He got the AE1s, Anthony Edwards 1 sneakers, which are pretty tight. But here's the commercial.
Hey, what's up with the machine, though?
That's for my receipts.
Receipts?
Yeah, I hear all the hate.
Yo, Ant, Carmelo said, are you committed to really going out there and being the face of the league? Because they throwing that term around too loosely.
Okay.
Cameron said, to me, he's an all-star, but not a superstar yet.
Buddy,
It is what it ain't.
what else they say, Slip?
The most overrated athlete. Oh, this is a good one. Does he really love the game? He doesn't look like he's even in a good enough
He's
shape.
just wrong.
I'm noticing he complains a bit. What happened to the next American prodigy? Kevin Wild. I ain't trying to rub it in, but they saying this the furthest y'all gonna get.
This only the beginning. Because I'm not who they think I am. I'm better. Believe that.
How you like it? My co-host Kevin Wild's name is mentioned in there.
I heard that. I heard
You
that.
it? Kevin Wild said.
And Cameron, right?
Yes, Cameron, Carmelo Anthony, and Kevin Wiles. What are your thoughts on the commercial?
That's cool. Keep all those receipts. I mean, that's what kids say. It's the term, Chris. You keep receipts and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Did he have receipts after this series? What
He
about
should.
those receipts?
He should.
All right. So hold on to those receipts too, and then it's all good.
I like the commercial. I like him because you put that out there, and you mentioned Carmelo's name. That's an all-time great. You're saying bring it on. It's reminiscent. Now this backfired on LeBron, Rob, but reminiscent. Remember when LeBron first went to Miami, and he was going to be the villain.
Right.
And I think there was a Nike commercial where he was the villain and all that, but that wasn't his personality. I do think this commercial's in line with Anthony Edwards, but he's got to go to work. He's still, as great as he is already, he still can work on his game. One thing you saw, Rob, and look, these are just two gifted shooters. I'm not saying he'll get to this level of jump shot, but Kyrie and Luka, it's all at times it's like you're surprised when they miss, especially in the mid range. Threes, come and go. 40% is great on threes, but in the mid range, those two, they get a little space, they bump you, move and fade, and they got that space, and then they hit it. And he can improve that. He obviously can go to the bucket. He is a good shooter. But keep working on that, Jay, because you saw with Luka, Kyrie, Rob, they can do it all offensively. They can go to the rim and finish. They can handle. They can pass. They can score in the mid-range, and they can shoot the three. And there are a lot of guys in the league that they're great three-point shooters, don't use the mid-range much, or they can drive and score and maybe shoot the mid-range but not the three. These two have it all, and Anthony Edwards should take that and learn from it. Because, Rob, Michael Jordan wasn't a tremendous shooter when he entered the league. And when he left the league, he was arguably the greatest mid-range shooter ever. And he's one of them still in that conversation. So he needs to just put in that work if he wants to be the guy, because dudes are coming, Rob. We mentioned Luka. We mentioned Jokic. We mentioned Giannis. You got SGA. Wemby eventually is going to be out there. It is Jason Tatum and the Celtics aren't going anywhere. So that's just to mention a few. That's not even mentioning the old heads. So it's good for him. I think he'll learn from it and be better for it. So I think we'll look back at this, Rob, and maybe there'll be another series we add to this. But we'll look back and say this was him going through his growing pains like Jordan did with the Pistons, like the Pistons did with the Celtics, like LeBron did at times, with the Spurs being swept. This will be, his even Luka has had his playoff disappointments. And so we'll see if he's up to the task, Rob. But I think he is, but he just got to keep working.
Yeah, but the fire has definitely been put out a little bit. Like people were ready, Chris. They thought, my God, 22, there was all this talk, buzz, the Michael Jordan stuff. I mean, he was on fire and everybody was raving about him and thinking, look at what this 22-year-old kid, the games he was putting up 40 points. It was like, wow, look at he's breaking through all these things that we thought you had to do, to get to that point. Right. Everybody was ready to pick him to go to the finals. Yes. Oh, look at the Timberwolves. Look at Ant-Man. My God, he's arrived. No, not yet.
Do you think that, because I think with the Michael Jordan comparisons, in my mind, certainly my thoughts, but I think with most others, it was more stylistic. You see,
I get it, but just to be,
but I don't think I personally, and I've said this from the first day I mentioned him and Jordan in the same breath. I don't think he'll ever be in the GOAT conversation or a top 10 player like that. So I don't think, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think people were saying he's going to ever be as good or arguably as good as Jordan. But I think they're saying the game has similarities. Even Jordan said that, texted that to me.
Right, I get that. But whenever you mention that guy's name with anybody, Chris, people are going to have extremely high expectations.
Oh, and they should. And they still should for him. Right. I just don't think they're as high as top 10 player of all time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but, I hear you. The chances of that are pretty slim just because of what it is you have to do in order to make it happen. That's all.
I think he's more a Dwayne Wade level, which is great. I think Dwayne Wade is one of the top 5 shooting guards of all time. And if Ant Edwards can get in that discussion, then he's had a phenomenal career. But he's got a long way to go for that. So